Hello, welcome back to the workshop. In today's video, we're going to build a catalytic converter guard for the Dodge pickup. If that interests you, stay tuned, we'll get started. The seat bolts extend down through the floor. I want to use those to hold the guard in place. So with that in mind, here's how I think I want to build this. I want to make a U-bracket that will bolt to the floor using those seat bolts. I then want to make a plate that will bolt to that bracket. That plate will sit below the catalytic converter and prevent access. So the first thing I need to do, I need to figure out the dimensions for that large U-bracket. I've got a piece of bar clamped between the frames, and I'm going to measure down from that seat bolt down to this bar. That'll give me the up-down dimension, and then I'll measure the distance between the seat bolts. So notice how little space there is between the cat and this plate. So I want to add some additional clearance. So I'm going to mount this thing towards down about an inch from the frame. That'll give me an inch clearance here, and it'll ensure that it doesn't get too hot and that rocks and things don't get trapped between the plate and the cat. The only downside is this thing's going to hang down. So I measure 9 inches from the top of the seat bracket down to the bottom of that plate. So I need to add an extra inch to that to give me a little additional clearance between the cat and the plate. So I'm going to make this bracket 10 inches long. So it looks like the rear mount is going to be longer. I get 11 inches to the top of the square here. So it's going to be 12 inches long in the rear, 10 inches long in the front. So based on those measurements, here's how that U-bracket's going to look. It's going to be longer in the rear, 12 inches, 10 inches in the front, and it needs to be 30 inches between mounting points, between the mounting holes. I'm going to leave 1 inch on each side to give me a place to drill the hole. So I measured this out. I was really hoping to do it in one piece, but even 48 inches long, this is not long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the front bracket, I'm going to make the back bracket, and then I'm going to weld the cross brace between the two. I remember I had this bit that came with that Acme tap. I'm going to use it instead. The front seat bolt is under the heat shield here. It's why this is bulged out. I'm going to take this heat shield off, and I think what I'm going to do is just trim it out on the blue line. That way my bracket will fit in. Before I put this back in, I'm going to get that other bracket fitted, and then we'll cut the main bar to length, get it bolted in place. I'll pull it all back out so we can paint it, and then we'll put this back in. But there's no point in snaking it back in right now. I'd originally planned to take and cut the bottom brace and bolt it on. But when I put it under there and I look at it, this is just hanging down too low. So instead, I'm going to weld it together like so, and then I'll cut it to length and weld the other bracket on. And then that way it'll be one piece. Jeez, it's so windy. So this is the plate I'm using. It's 3/16 inch steel. This one measures 16 inches by 24. I am gonna cut a scribe line. And what I wanna do is score it with the angle grinder, bend it 90 degrees and weld it. And then when it's put under the truck, this is the side that will sit between the frame and the drive shaft. So I clamped it up and I marked the location for the holes. These are the 2 holes that are on the frame. I'm gonna drill these and then I can put it back in there and bolt it in place, and then I'll bring you guys down. I want to show you what it looks like. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 holes to drill on the inside into that bracket we made, into the U-bracket. Alright, so I've got the plate in, it's bolted to the frame here and here, and I've got a single clamp attaching it to that U-bracket back here. The next thing I want to do, I want to trace the location of that U-bracket. I want to drill probably 4 holes, and then I want to weld some nuts onto the back side of the U-bracket. As I was pulling this out, I noticed that it sits at more of an angle than I realized. Once I start putting in bolts, things are going to get weird. So I decided it's probably better to give this a little bit of a profile. So right now, it's shaped like this. What I'm going to do is score it here and score it here, and I'm going to bend it to give it a little bit more of a profile. Kind of like this, and this is grossly over exaggerated. But I'll score it and I'll weld it in these 2 spots, just like I did here. So I've got it kind of hastily clamped here. It's bolted to the frame with some 3/8 inch bolts, and then I've got C-clamps holding it to that U-bracket. It fits pretty well. I'm alright, I'm happy with it. So the next step is going to be to drill 4 holes into the U-bracket, weld some nuts to the backside of the U-bracket, and then I'll bolt it up to that bracket, and then it will be in here. I've removed the U-bracket from the truck. While it was up there, I marked the locations of the holes. So I'm going to center punch these holes, drill them out. I'm actually going to drill out the 2 ends, bolt this to the skid plate, and then drill the remaining holes through the skid plate. That way I know I've got everything in the right spot. I'm using grade 8 hardware I got from my local hardware store. The nuts, these are just your typical grade 2. I did that because I'm going to weld them, so hardness doesn't really matter on welded hardware. If this was grade 8, the second I weld it, it would lose that hardening anyway. Alright, so I've got the guard bolted in place. You can see it fits quite nicely. What I want to do now is I want to build a couple of braces so that if somebody comes under here and cuts the tubing with a Sawzall, they won't be able to just pull the catalytic converter out. So I'm thinking about building a plate right here. It comes off at an angle kind of match the rest of the heat shielding and whatnot under the truck. And then I'm thinking about adding a couple of uprights on the sides here. The goal being that if it's cut and you yank it, you still won't be able to get it out. So I used the flap disc and then I used my little orbital sander, and I've got it pretty much ready to paint. I didn't spend a lot of time making the welds look nice or anything. The only people that are ever going to see it are me, you, and the thief who tries to take the catalytic converter. So I think it's good enough. It's nice and warm out today, so I am going to paint it with some 2K Hot Rod Black paint. I'm going to fire this stuff off. It'll take about 15 minutes to get ready, and then I'll set this up out in the driveway and we'll get it painted. These are all painted. This is kind of how that stuff turned out. I think it looks pretty nice. So I gotta let these cure for a couple of hours, and then I'm gonna drag them under the pickup. We'll get this all bolted together. I got the guard bolted in place. I put thread lock on all the bolts just to keep them from backing out. And I've sprayed the whole thing with Cosmoline. I've used that Cosmoline a lot. It does a really nice job of protecting from salt splash and just keeping things from rusting. So I want to show you around, kind of show you how everything is mounted. I'm going to show you the guards and give you some of the reasoning why they're there. So this is the rear of the guard. You're looking from the back of the pickup towards the front. These brackets that I added here, these are to prevent somebody from cutting the cat and just pulling it straight out of the back. There is not enough room from here to the top of the cab for a clever thief to wiggle this and get it out. This is the drive shaft side of the guard. I added this brace here. What that brace does is similar to the back. It prevents the cat from being cut and lifted out over the drive shaft. There's not enough room there for somebody to work the cat out with that brace in place. This is the leading edge of the guard. I added this section of metal to act as a deflector. That way, if something comes along, it will hit this and be deflected downward, instead of getting up over and getting wedged into the catalytic converter. This is the front view of the guard. So you're up under the engine. So this is from the front of the truck looking back. Here you can kind of see the profile I made on this plate. I did that to allow for some additional clearance with the catalytic converter, just because I don't want to trap too much heat in there. The guard is bolted to the frame with these 2 bolts, and then it's bolted to that U-bracket we built with these 5 bolts. So it's been a couple of weeks, and I can say my catalytic converter guard, 100% effective. My catalytic converter has not been stolen. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun with this one. If you're subscribed to my channel, I want to say thank you. I really do appreciate it. If you're not subscribed and you enjoy content like this, well, consider subscribing. So with that, guys, thanks for watching.